Okay. Ask a Samurai. What's Ask a Samurai about, Alex?
Well, Ask a Samurai is our one and only opportunity for the week for our users to effectively ask this gentleman here, who is the Master Samurai, a few questions about internet marketing, about SEO, about our products, about everything, really.
Yeah. Not just ask myself, ask anyone from our team, but I'll just be the stand-in here because I'm sitting here.
Because you're the Master Samurai. It's a reasonable one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been looking at questions that have been submitted by our user base through support, through Twitter, through Facebook, etc. Looking for questions that people really want to know the answers to, so that we can try and answer some of them today.
Awesome.
So we'll kick off. The first one is to do with social media. So, I mean, social media, it's not that new, but it's a very, very rapidly changing environment. And a lot of people are, even though social media itself isn't new, a lot of people are coming into it still relatively fresh. So the question we've got today is, a lot of my competitors are using social media. What's a good way to start using social media?
Okay. Well, I think social media is very, very important. And I think one of the questions you need to ask yourself is, what outcome are you trying to get from social media? Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't have a very strong idea of what you're trying to do, then you're likely just to hang out on Facebook and Twitter and waste a whole bunch of time and not really get a lot of really great business results. There's a whole lot of reasons why you want to be on social media. Mm-hmm.
Give it a few of them.
Yeah, like probably the number one thing is just so that your customers can actually talk to you. Okay. Like it's just like an email address now. So people will want to talk to you, want to communicate through that channel, and you should be available in any venue that your customers are on. So that's kind of like, that's one of the minimum reasons to be there. But you don't need to be very active if that's all you need to kind of do.
Yeah. Set up a page or set up a Twitter profile, and you're kind of there.
Yeah, and so I mean, as marketers, a lot of what we're trying to do with social media is to get traffic, mm-hmm. right, or to increase conversions, or to warm up our traffic and build a relationship with people. So there's a lot of really good reasons to use social media. Mm-hmm. And also with search engine optimization at the moment, there is certainly a huge bias towards social media engagement. So a page that's been liked, a lot of people that have been shared around, like we don't, will tend to rank even higher in the search engines, for example, and people have shown this mathematically to be true. So there are search engine benefits for doing that, as well as just the ability to get viral traffic. If people like something, obviously they're sharing it with their friends.
Yep.
And if your customers are likely to know other customers that might be interested in your product as well. So that's kind of some of the reasons why you might want to use social media.
Yep.
I think that I'll probably go through a couple of really basic examples of what people should be doing. I think the minimum thing that you should be doing, apart from obviously responding to customer inquiries and things through the social networks, is SEO certainly is becoming more content marketing, and I think anyone who's online needs to be putting really great content out. I think it's content marketing is a big buzzword at the moment, but it's really hasn't changed. Content is king. Putting out really great content is a fantastic way to attract people to your visitors, to your website.
Yep.
So at the very least, that any content that you kind of create, you should share that through all the social media places. So, and there's lots of tools out there that can help you do that. So I think that's kind of the minimum, is using it to get stuff out.
Yep.
I think the next notch up from that is to start participating in the conversations in your community, in your niche, in your market. And there's two really good ways to do that. One is to take a look at who are the big players in your marketplace. Follow them all. You might even add them to a Twitter list or something, so that it's easier for you to follow them if it's on Twitter, or build relationships with the people that are the market leaders, and then whenever they share some really great information, share that to your followers. So
yep.
if they're tweeting something, retweet that to your followers. I mean, curator, don't just retweet every single thing that they tweet, right? But good stuff that's of interest, retweet them, because they'll see that, and then you'll start showing up on their radar too, which is a great way for you to build, relationship with the movers and shakers in your industry.
And obviously, you want to declare your sources. You want to just make it clear that you
absolutely
someone else.
Yeah, I mean, and the name of the game these days is curation, really, and it's not even content creation. And I guess another really great way is to find like what are the major really great blogs and websites in your industry that have a lot of news, a lot of really great articles. Add them all to your feed reader. I was going to say Google Reader, but looks like that's dying very, very soon. But into your RSS feed reader. Or into Flipboard, or whatever you're using, like or Zite, or there's a whole bunch of different sort of social news platforms and things. And when you see something really great, share that in social media, and you can even use a tool such as Buffer that can add each of these things that you're trying to share into a queue, and then schedule that to go out to all your different social media outlets at the right time. Because you're going to get different responses at different time zones, so it works out what the best time is for engagement with your particular customer base, and gets it out there. So I think they are some really practical ways of using social media that can have a real tangible business benefit. Cool.
Alrighty. The next one, it's been the same question that's been coming up for probably the last 2 years. Doesn't really seem to change, but the answer does change.
Yes.
Like, we're learning a lot more. The next one is, with Google changing all the rules, what do you recommend now as a viable SEO strategy?
Yeah, well, I think the important thing to realize is that Google's opinion has not changed. Like, people say, oh, Google's changed everything, but they publish a set of Google Webmaster Guidelines. There have been little tweaks here and there, and they're more clarifications than anything else.
But when they released Penguin and Panda, they were weren't they major changes to the the Webmaster tool or Webmaster Guidelines?
No, not really. There were a couple of clarifications around some of that sort of stuff, but the actual spirit of it did not change. And so what Google has been saying has been permissible behavior and recommended behavior in search engine optimization really has not changed. What has changed, as you pointed out, is that their implementation of actually enforcing those rules has changed. Okay, and the biggest change is that in the past with search engine optimization, like, essentially the more you strayed away from those guidelines, and the more that were aggressive, say, with link building, and sort of went to the grey or black hats of areas of search engine optimization, the worst that would happen if Google updated an algorithm was that any benefit that you were getting from that work that was a little sort of bit in the grey areas that you did would just disappear. You'd sort of just lose the benefit. So you'd probably lose rankings with that as well.
It would feel like a penalty.
Yeah, but then you could just start again, do something else, or clean up and swear that you're never doing that dodgy SEO stuff again.
I've never met a person who said that they do black hat.
Well, black hat people don't think they do black hat. But now with the Penguin update, Google wouldn't ever really say this, but the realities are that if you have been caught with, say, getting these anchor text ratios out of too heavily optimized, too aggressively optimized, then you can essentially penalize that site, and so oftentimes it can be better just to start with a brand new site than trying to actually recover.
So the penalty applies to the site itself.
Yes, if you get the wrong mix of backlinks and things, and this has been the case with Panda as well, with large amounts of duplicate content. That's actually probably the biggest change. But Penguin, yes, even with the backlink ratios, you can actually have a penalty, and that's the game change. The game changer is we're moving from to a position of penalties. And so that being in mind, we've actually released a great webinar about how to how to recover from these penalties and what to do. But
put together a tool for actually looking at how your backlinks are structured.
We've got the backlink health check tool that we've created to help people to measure this stuff and work out how close the line people are in terms of crossing over these rules. But in terms of viable SEO strategy, to answer the question, I think SEO is just becoming more marketing, right? I mean, to just do more marketing. What does that mean? And I think the word to Google look up is content marketing. And this is the creation of really great content around your product and service kind of areas, to create a connection with your readers, to create inbound traffic, to allow people to create engaging content that people can share and interact, and essentially pre-sell your brand to your customer base through content.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a really good example of this. I met someone at a conference last weekend, and he does SEO for a very, very large insurance firm, and when selling car insurance, for example, most people, when they buy car insurance, they just keep renewing their policy. They don't look around to save a bit more money, each time, their policy comes up for renewal. So really, the battle is fought in car insurance on the first-time car buyer who wants to insure their car for the very first time.
Yeah.
So this person who is a professional SEO actually helps them create content targeting the first car buyer. So they create a bunch of content about how to buy your first car, 10 steps to look out for when buying your first car, and produce free reports and a whole bunch of really great content out there targeting that market. It doesn't even really talk about insurance, or insurance might be one of the points.
Yes.
On that kind of checklist, but it's branded with them, and introduce them to that brand. So when that person does get around to buying their car and purchasing insurance, hopefully they'll be more likely to purchase insurance from them rather than one of their competitors, particularly if they've created some great content. And then they can link to their website to get like the full 22 steps to buying a new car report, and that creates a relationship. They can send emails out to them, offer them an offer. Hey, if you take out insurance in the next 30 days, then hey, we'll give you 20% off your premium or whatever it is. So basically by putting out a whole bunch of content, it's a really good way to attract people into your brand. So that's what content marketing is creating.
Kind of works on the principle you mentioned earlier of reciprocity. You're giving people something. You're putting something out there in the market.
Yes.
And so the general feel is that they should then give you something back.
And at the very least, even if people don't feel, oh, you gave me this free report, I owe you something. At the very least, it
gives them a positive bias.
It gives people trust. It creates trust, right? And that whole liking thing we talked about earlier. People are more likely to do business with someone that they know than someone that they don't know.
Absolutely.
And this moves you into the know zone as apart from the friend zone as apart from the stranger zone. So so that's kind of content marketing. Definitely Google this stuff, look at it. But I really think that getting a great content strategy is a very, very important part now of search engine optimization. Probably always has been, but now it's kind of one of the main...
Other avenues have been closed off.
Yes. I mean, there still are some loopholes out there. We talked about video marketing earlier. Video is still relatively easy to get rankings for, but all those kind of loopholes and low-hanging fruit, they will all disappear with time.
Yes.
If it's easy, it'll stop working, okay? That's SEO. So just put out, do timeless stuff, do white hat stuff, put lots of great content out there, and you'll stand the test of time, hopefully.
Alrighty. So the next question we've got relates to just traffic, getting traffic through different sources. So there's ways of getting organic traffic, there's ways of getting traffic just directly from search engines, etc. But there's also paid traffic. And one of the questions we get asked quite frequently comes in a form roughly like, I've spent hundreds of dollars on paid traffic through AdWords and Facebook. It's a cert source here, but I can't make that traffic profitable. What would you recommend?
Okay, well, I think there's a few things. The first thing, and I know people probably won't do it, but there's this thing called market research, and we
have a product in that field.
We have a product called Market Samurai, but I think it's really important that before you even create a product or look at building a business around a product, that you do your market research most of the time, when people they can't sell something, it's because they're selling in a bad market, they're not or they don't know how people are selling in that particular market. So do your research, find those keywords which show commerciality and traffic and all that kind of stuff, but go beyond that as well. So once you've identified that yes, there are people spending money, don't stop there. Okay, look at how people are making money. Okay, so people are using a particular sales sequence. Like in some markets, you will lose money up front in pay-per-click, but there's a really nice back end, like a recurring income stream, for example. So So like beauty products where you might, get a new tub of this beauty product every month or something. They're happy to give the first one away for free or lose money in the first one because people are going into a subscription. And there's a lot of money to be made in that subscription. So you need to understand how people are selling in that marketplace. To study the ads they're using, the appeals that they're using, just the actual sales process. Are they squeezing people? What's the autoresponder sequence that they're using? What are the benefits that they're using? So study the competition. Once you think you have an idea, okay, then I really think what you should do is you should find an affiliate product that is similar to what other people are selling,
similar to what you'd also like to sell,
and similar to what you like to sell, and you should try to sell it. Drive paid traffic. This is not about making money at all. Okay, this is about testing traffic. So test sending traffic to an affiliate product, or and try to create that sales process as much as possible, so you have an actual tangible number about how much it's going to cost to advertise, plus what your actual conversion rate for things are going to be. Now, once you've got that, you can go and crunch the numbers and say, well, hey, look, if I got all the money, I wasn't just getting affiliate commission, would it be profitable or not? Right? So you should do that kind of testing. Just again, no one really does this at all, unfortunately. But if you're using paid traffic, I think that's really, really important to do.
Okay.
And then only then, when you can kind of make the numbers work or have enough confidence you can make the numbers work, then you might look at building a product, to service that marketplace. Unfortunately, most people that ask this question, the ship has sailed on that one. They've already spent a lot of time and money building a product. They already have a product, or they had products before they got online. So the question then is, how do you make that traffic profitable? And I think there's a couple of ways. The two biggest mistakes I see are, number one, not being targeted enough with your traffic.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Most people just throw thousands of keywords. Not that you can do that anymore, but they try just to buy as much traffic as they can, hoping that some of it will stick. If you do that, you're gonna fail.
Well, we had a case maybe a year ago. We did a launch, and we had a huge amount of traffic come through, and we traced it, and something like 90% of it came from a single person who'd paid for clicks, and they earned 0 commissions.
Well, nothing wrong with paying for clicks, but they went through a service called AdFlow, which is essentially exit traffic. But anyway, it was like the worst, most untargeted traffic you could imagine. Literally, they almost crashed our service, and they sent tens of thousands of views and not a single sale. So AdWords or Facebook, it's the same kind of thing. People can just try to get greedy and try to buy more and more traffic. When you want, at least when you're starting, okay? At least when you're starting, when you're trying to get this thing profitable, trying to get it off the ground, you want to buy the most targeted traffic as possible. And if you can't sell that traffic, then you have a problem.
Yes.
Okay, you need to really take a look at your business model. The second, so target traffic is really, really important. And the other mistake that I see people making is they're just trying to sell something too cheap. So just the way that the math works, okay, is
not a high enough profit.
You need to be, you're not going to make money selling a $20 ebook.
Particularly if the click to get you there costs a couple of dollars in of itself.
So that's the way the math works. So if you have a 1% conversion rate, you're selling a $20 ebook, then the numbers mean that you need, at a 1% conversion rate, you can only afford to pay up to 20 cents per click to break even.
Yes.
So you need to be paying less than 20 cents per click to make money. And obviously, if anyone has any PPC knows 20 cents a click, gee, that's cheap.
Yes. Yep.
So you really need to be looking at to sell, provide more value in your product so you can charge more money for them, or add a back end component to it. But back ends are really hard to just. I would say make money in your front end. Don't even look at your back end initially, because if you're struggling to sell stuff, you're not going to have enough people go through your back end to work out what the average value per sale or per lead is going to be. So make money on your front end. So I think that they're probably two really great tips. And just become awesome at copywriting. Like, do lots of ads, study lots of ads. We've got a copywriting segment, the conversion factor. Get lots of books about copywriting. Become become an expert at sales and marketing, and you'll be able to reap the benefits across all aspects of your life and specifically your business.
One thing you mentioned there, you just touched on at the end, is there are companies out there that are obviously very successful at using their ads. So look at the ads that they use. I mean, they are succeeding, and the combination of words and things that they're using are successful ones. So you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, and there's the services like spyfoo.com that you can go and you can take a look at. You can type in your competitors and see what keywords they're advertising. You can see what ads they're running. I think SEMrush has a similar kind of functionality that's free. So you can get a lot of the data up front. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, and that's what I said. If you just find something, buy some traffic, and do some testing, but study the competition.
Yep. So next up, if you've done a lot of Google searching, which pretty much everyone has, you'll note that there are certain types of sites that always seem to hit the top couple of positions for a lot of searches. And those sites can be particularly difficult to displace. So the question for this one is, sites like Wikipedia and Amazon are ranking in position 1 for keywords that I'm targeting. How can I compete with them?
Well, I think Wikipedia, for example, I read some studies that say that they show on the front page or number 1 for something like 60 or 70% of all searches.
There's a very good reason for it, though.
Yeah. Right, and so it's very, very hard to compete with Wikipedia. They have a massive amount of authority, a massive amount of trust, but they also deserve to be there.
The content is actually good
stuff. The content is fantastic. There's very few sites I'll actually go directly to. There's obviously Google and Wikipedia. I'll often just pull up Wikipedia and search, and a lot of people are like that. Even if they search in Google, I'll type in wiki, or, Wikipedia, and a search term to try and find that. It's just awesome. Right, so and there's less than that, is that whatever page that you're creating to try to rank for something, it needs to be awesome. It needs to be better than Wikipedia.
And that's a very, very hard thing.
And that's a hard thing to do, right? So that is an actual principle. So I wouldn't be trying to outrank by Wikipedia. It is possible. I've seen examples of people do that, so it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. But I would definitely be saying, if you're going into it with an SEO kind of mindset, that you still, if you only can come in and rank at position number 3, then you crunch the numbers and make sure it's still worth the effort to go in and rank at number 3. So Amazon is a little easier, because they're a commercial site. So Google will tend to try to rank the actual brand site higher than websites that are selling their brand.
So Apple should rank higher in a search relating to Apple than an Amazon site selling the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. And you'll see 7 or 8 on the front page will be Apple sites.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think and I think the other important thing is that the most dangerous number in business, they say, is the number 1. So if you're completely trying to build your business on search engine optimization traffic, then you're doing something wrong. You really need to diversify your traffic source. SEO in the past has been something that you could really get very, very quick rankings. It's still possible in some circumstances, but it really is it's more a long-term game now. It's about content marketing and building up trust and authority over time. And that's always been going that way. So, if you need to be looking at mixing it up, Notable Samurai gets 40% of its traffic from affiliates.
Yeah.
That's great. We do pay for that traffic. We just pay on the sale. We don't pay for the lead. And we buy traffic on in AdWords and Facebook as well. So you need to be looking at multiple streams of traffic to your website, not just targeting SEO.
Cool. Alrighty. Next up, we have one. We kind of covered a little bit of it earlier, but you've spoken a lot about content marketing, and people are always talking about content marketing being the new SEO, and I actually want to know what that means.
Okay, so I think we've kind of covered most of it sort of already, but yeah, essentially is in the past, SEO was really all about doing some on-page optimization and then just building a bunch of backlinks. Now, backlinks is definitely still part of the mix. It's really important, but it's not volume of backlinks. It's not even just the authority, the quality of the backlink. It is about user engagement fundamentally. Google measures every single click that goes through to your site. If someone clicks through and then they bounce, they come back straight away, then that's a vote that, hey, this is a really bad website. Similarly, if people don't click your result in the search engines, that's a sign. Now, with practically every site which has Facebook likes and tweets and things, if there is no social activity around a particular site, then that's potentially a negative thing, or certainly it's a positive thing if you can get people engaged with your content, people sharing it. Yeah. Then that's a positive vote of confidence for your content. So that's what content marketing is about: is producing great content that people love, that people want to share, that has real value. And that is actually being factored into the search engine algorithms, as well as the better the content is, the more people will share, the more people will link to it inherently. So yeah, that's what people should be doing.
I suppose if you've seen anything, like YouTube videos going viral, there is no way that you can compete with that as a form of getting a message out there.
Absolutely.
If something gets out there on social media or a format like that, there's nothing that compares.
Yeah, so there's kind of two types of marketing. One is outbound marketing, which is traditional stuff, just traditional advertisers and running ads on people's sites, trying to encourage them to come to your site. But inbound marketing is creating a whole bunch of really, really great content that people want to share that will eventually lead them to come to your site. So it's a subtle change in the way that stuff happens, but it really the seed of that is about content, which means that you need to be looking at your content creation process and how can you be efficient in creating content. What we're doing here with this podcast is doing that. It's doing content marketing. By recording this video, we can chop up each of the different segments. We can syndicate that. We can transcribe it. We can create blog posts from that. We can create audio for that, and just capture it once and then reuse it and syndicate it out to where the audience is in the social networks, in the different video syndication sites. So that is, we're doing content marketing ourselves. So again, we're practicing what we preach. But it's about leverage and systems, and video is a very efficient way to capture something, because you can easily then turn it into audio and text. And if anyone's checked out the Profit Hacks product, I think we promoted it a few months ago, then they spell this all out for you. It's a very, very powerful process.
Cool. All right, so we've got time for one last question, and this one is quite close to our hearts. The question is: I'm about to build my new site. Should I use WordPress? What are the advantages? And the reason this is close to our hearts, we've actually just done a major push. We've changed all our sites to use WordPress. It was quite a major change, but it was driven by an internal pain. So talk us through WordPress.
Yeah, well, I think the answer is yes. I think anyone who's building a site, for the most part, should be looking at trying to build that site upon WordPress. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. The major reason is that it is really popular. Mm-hmm. So there is a huge ecosystem built around WordPress. It's easy to find WordPress developers. It's easy to find WordPress plugins to help you do things on your website. As a marketer, there is an entire community of people building marketing plugins for WordPress. If you try to build your website on another platform, then you are missing out on that. You've got
to do a lot of work from scratch where you wouldn't have to.
You have to custom code everything, or wait till a plugin gets popular enough that they might look at another platform, but that rarely happens. And also hosting. There are a lot of people that know how to host WordPress, and so that you can scale and get millions and millions of people to your website. So a lot of the hard problems are solved. So by being part of that ecosystem, you get to leverage all that. The other reason is that it's relatively easy to use in terms of it, and usually you don't have to be super technical if you want to write content. It's easy to do so. Again, by plugging into the ecosystem, there's a lot of apps on mobile devices allow you to publish to WordPress and manage your comments on WordPress, and it's just anything that you can possibly think to be able to do with your website, you can probably find a plugin. Just type in, WordPress plugin and whatever it is that you're trying to find, and something will come up.
9 times out of 10, it'll be a free thing too.
Yeah, and there's free stuff, and probably more importantly, there's also a lot of paid plugins, because a lot of free stuff, it doesn't get updated, doesn't get supported, and
That's
so
true.
I think it's different if you're just running a personal blog, but if you're running a business and you depend on a plugin kind of working, and every version of WordPress something breaks, you really want to make sure that you get that support. So there's a lot of great free stuff out there. We use a bunch of great free stuff, and some of it's well supported, and a lot of it just languishes and doesn't do anything. That's the blessing and the curse of open source software. So I think it's good to have that mix, and I think WordPress has that healthy mix of both free, both paid, and all the problems are solved.
Yep.
So and it has a fantastic community around it as well. So
Absolutely.
if you are stuck, there's these forums, and there's pretty much every city there is a user group. You don't even know it. There's a user group that meets up for free or every single month in your city right now, even if it's a little tiny one, and they get together and talk about WordPress stuff. So even if you're not technical, you can learn from other people that are using it. So that's a long way of saying yes.
And it was that technical aspect that actually made us change all our sites to use WordPress. Previously, whenever we wanted to do an update of a piece of marketing material on the site, it required the marketing team to write it and format it, and they give it to the developers and they push it up onto the site. Then you've got the kind of the testing cycle of, does this look right? No, we want to tweak this here and this there. And you're looking at taking hours out of 2 people's days to make a change of a paragraph or 2.
Yeah, exactly. So putting the power back in the user particularly for the marketing stuff, and just use your web developer for stuff you need to use your web developer for. But updating content 9 times out of 10, you
shouldn't be one of them.
You shouldn't be one of them.
All right, so that's all the questions for Ask a Samurai today. Our samurai is looking quite tired.